Okay, so we are going to answer some submitted questions here. What's the best way to overcome the anxiety you have based on previous decisions and the thought that you're too far gone to make it all right again? Okay. The thought that you're too far gone to make it all right again is catastrophizing the situation. So that in and of itself should let you know that you are thinking in a distorted way and that it's safe to not trust whatever line of thinking your brain is taking at that point. You mentioned that, let's see, the best way to overcome anxiety based on previous decisions and the thought that you're too far gone. So things that this is interesting. We do things in the past, and there is an element of it shaping who we are in the present and needing to atone for that in some way, or feeling like our present is a response to trying to atone for something that happened in our past. And on one level, I would say that we're all doing that constantly just in life, because I mean, you live your life and you're just adjusting to try and make a better life, and some of the mistakes that you make your adjustments very targeted. Like, I got a DUI, so my adjustment is to pay off my $10,000 line of debt or get sober or whatever it is, insert X, Y, or Z. So what I would say is that, assuming that the too far gone line of thinking is that I keep like doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm not able to overcome this. I would say that the first thing that you need to do is try and accept whatever it is that happened and feel it fully. Don't shy away. Don't try to rationalize it, and don't try to figure it out necessarily. I would say that the first part of this question, based on previous decisions you've made, well, a lot of people make a lot of decisions based in a moment that you don't have access to anymore. You can only have stories about that moment at this point. So I would say not necessarily to deny or suppress or pretend that whatever moment was that was difficult for you didn't happen, but I would say that in order to really atone for that moment, you have to let it go, and you have to start looking forward at how you could make a better choice, and who you could be in response to the evidence that was given to you based on how you used to behave. Based on those data points that you didn't like. And the best way to overcome that, A, is to look at it honestly, and then I would say B is to break it down into steps as much as you possibly can. It's kind of a vague question, but I would say break whatever the issue is down into steps. And if you think about how people experience progress in their life and experience momentum, well, the way that we experience momentum and progress in a sense of like energy for our lives is that we have this goal, and our brain monitors that we're getting closer and closer to this goal so that we're on the right track. And you could think of emotions sometimes as biological feedback that you're potentially on the wrong track. But the one thing that I wouldn't say to do is to run from it, is to continue to tell stories about it, is to dramatize it, and is to constantly think of it as a problem that you have to solve. And this is counterintuitive, but it's almost like the more that you try to solve this issue, the deeper you might be digging yourself into the issue itself. Sometimes the desire to solve the problem is what keeps the problem alive, or the desire to solve the brokenness is what keeps the brokenness alive. So again, I would say release it as much as you can, and then try and make choices moving forward that reflect whatever wisdom or whatever insights that you have gained because you went through that experience. In terms of a best way, I don't know if there's a best way. That almost sounds like you're looking for a quick fix. or maybe you've run through a lot of different scenarios or tried a bunch of different things and you're just getting fed up. But yeah, you're not too far gone. There's the idea of being too far gone is just it's a fundamentally just, it's a wrong contextual premise. There's no way that you're too far gone to start working to better yourself in small ways, or to refine the aspects of you that are seemingly against your internal value system, based on the feedback from life, based on your own feelings about yourself after you engage in those activities or whatever. So I don't know if this was too vague, but I think that, yeah, break it down into steps. Accept that it happened. Don't try to run from it. I wouldn't even try to solve it. I would just say that this happened and informed my life in these ways, and my future would look brightest if I was able to do this, X, Y, or Z. And I'm grateful for whatever my negative experiences were in the past, because honestly, you just couldn't possibly know what you know, or feel what you feel, or be on the path that you're on, imperfect as it may be, without whatever experience that you had. And at least in my own life, when things get difficult, it's just so difficult in the moment. But eventually you start to, like, as life goes on, you start, like, it starts to piece itself together in a way that you just can't predict. And it's usually like surprisingly beautiful and awe-inspiring, and not like romantic necessarily, but sometimes you just lift up your hands. You're just like, fuck, there must be a plan to all this. Like, even if you don't believe in God or however you relate to all of this craziness, like, sometimes it's just too interesting and too interconnected, and there's too many things that happened or that happen in your life that are connected to other things way long ago that end up preparing you for this next thing coming, and where you're just like, Jesus, like, there's something going on. And I can have faith that whatever that something is as long as I'm willing to be open to it and say yes to life and continue to move forward in a way that is trying to love myself and others in whatever the best way that I know how at this moment in my life, then I'm going to be okay. Hope that answered your question.